The Biden camp reportedly conceding they may only win South Carolina. And is Chelsea Clinton being groomed for political office?
We are back with Eduardo Rodriguez, principal at the Raven Group, and Patrice Onwuka, senior policy analyst at the Independent Women's Forum. So new reporting from Biden. Sagar, I'll let you take it away.
My friend Joe Simonson over at the Washington Examiner, that internally the Biden camp is basically admitting that they're probably going to lose all of the early states except
Iowa, New
for
Hampshire,
South Carolina
and Nevada, which are the,
they've got the South Carolina firewall because of the African American vote. Eduardo, that's a pretty risky position to be in because
it's like a wait till Florida kind of strategy.
We have seen over and over again in past primaries that African American voters, just because they're with somebody before the race starts, when Iowa and New Hampshire start voting, they say, "Oh, okay, maybe this person has a chance," and they immediately flip. I think this is. I mean, if this is what they're saying inside their campaign, it's a disaster.
Yeah, I think whoever's leading that messaging needs to get serious talking to.
Right.
It would be different if Biden was still maintaining the huge gap between his first place position and the second and third.
Right.
But the gap is narrowing, and in some polls he's under.
Right.
So to still hold on to that kind of strategy, especially in this environment, which I think after 2016. Most pollsters said, let's throw all the models out the window. This is a whole new environment. Trump is an entirely different candidate who risks everything and so far loses nothing. Well, we'll see about the impeachment. But so far, his strategy is unlike what we've seen before. So to pull out these old models that bank everything on the third or fourth state, it's a losing scenario, and Biden at this point can't risk it.
Especially Patrice, when you have a candidate who doesn't have the enthusiastic, rock-solid support that a Warren or a Sanders has. You can't expect voters are just going to sit around and not change their minds when they see the winds shifting in those early states.
Yeah, I mean, well, let me float an alternative thought here. Maybe he's trying to gin up some enthusiasm. Maybe his campaign is saying, well, hey guys,
sympathy vote.
Sympathy vote. I mean, it's a bad strategy, but what if he's saying, okay, guys, this is what we're facing. If you want me to stay in the game, if you want me to be that candidate at the end of the day,
underdog.
You may.
That's not.
I mean, I think they're just trying to. I think they're trying to downplay expectations.
I
think they're trying to lower the bar so that if he gets better than third in Iowa and New Hampshire, if he gets second place, then they this is going better than we even planned.
Which is not what we were all sold. The whole thing was he's the most electable.
He's
the electable juggernaut.
We're waiting for the coronation.
Turn Trump. We're waiting for the. And then
that's
now
exactly the voice I was using.
Exactly. He's plummeting, man. I mean, it's just over and over again. No money, right? His people are holding a little conference in New York and Wall Street saying, how do we get this guy some money? We got to start maxing out all our friends.
Right.
This is a disaster. I mean, if this is what you're saying,
a big problem, actually.
inside, it is, because what in all those, those private jets and all this other, the buses, bus tours, signs, all this, it costs a lot of money.
Just ask the son Hunter for some money.
I'm sure he could give him a multi-million-dollar loan. He's got $1 billion in Chinese money he can lend him. But
and once you start to appear weak or soft, once you no longer look like the front runner. Remember, he came out of the gates. He was running against Trump. He wasn't even talking about his competitors, and now here we are, and things can fall apart quickly.
And he's had to fend off this entire scandal related to his son. So I think the attention that's being focused on that is really hitting them.
Right.
Yeah. No, he's clearly extremely sensitive about that. There was Bloomberg reporting that he sent out the message to all the other Democrats that if you call yourself a Democrat and you touch any of the Hunter stuff, this is not acceptable.
Well, I think that's probably why he's freer now to be more aggressive about the impeachment. There was a lot of news that he finally came out and said impeachment. Personally, I think it's a little too late for him to come out and say that. I think had he wanted to really impress that he was leading the country in a better direction, he should have said that earlier on. But now he's got nothing to lose. So perhaps this takes the handcuffs off him a little bit, the cautiousness off, and he runs a more aggressive campaign and maybe turns things around.
Yeah, but I mean, this whole thing, trying to tell all the Democrats that they can't touch this issue, it is ludicrous.
But that's
setting the rules of the game for your
agencies, telling them not to cover these stories or to write opinion or to accept opinion pieces to the Washington Post, I guess it was.
Yeah, it was. I've talked about this before. Primaries are competitive, and they can, they get personal. I watched clips actually of Jerry Brown attacking Bill Clinton in 1992 on the stage about Hillary Clinton taking shady money at the Rose law firm. This is standard fare for America. This isn't like new thing. I mean, this whole unity, we must all be together. I don't understand where it comes from, Eduardo.
I think it comes from the fact that they are trying, as a party, trying to make sure that they don't take apart each other, so that when they finally pick a candidate, that candidate is handicapped, and you have months of real from the Republicans.
Such a ridiculous idea, because
I get it,
you think that, I mean,
but
what you
Didn't
want
work
is
with
for
the emails.
people to be tested, because you think Trump's going to take it easy on these people?
I get that, but then the Republican side has months of video clips saying, "This is what Elizabeth said
Look
about
at
you.
what,
this is
but
what
look at
Biden
what
said
the
about you,"
Republicans did
and
to
takes
each other.
them
They
apart.
savaged each other in that primary,
And
way further than
it was
with
fine,
any.
But
Exactly.
it's a very unique candidate. There's no way you could use that against Donald
But you know,
Trump.
it's
I mean,
also
he created his own videos about how bad he was, and he still won.
So true. So hold on.
It's
Sorry,
an
go ahead.
undemocratic process when you're trying to shield one another.
Yes,
I mean,
I agree
let
with
the
you.
best candidate
right.
win.
Well, I think
So,
the story's
hold on,
going to
we
write
got-
itself, and it has been.
One more story we want to get to here. So Chelsea Clinton has long been rumored to be looking at maybe a run, maybe a congressional seat. Is she going to? So there may be, and this is from our friend actually, Henry
Actually, it's in the
Rogers
New York
over-
Times as well.
In
but
New York Times, but also from our friend Henry Rogers over at The Caller, that Nita Lowey is retiring in her New York congressional seat, and that this is the seat that they've had an eye on for Chelsea for a while.
Oh, man.
So are we going to see, Estuardo, a Chelsea
Congresswoman Clinton.
congressional run?
I think the interesting thing is also is she's 80 years old, Nita Lowey.
Yeah.
And whether or not she had been facing a primary, would she have already announced at this
That's
point?
a good question too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if she's going to leave, my guess is that it has to be on her terms, and likely her selecting a successor,
She seems
the queen maker, right?
She seemed very, very vulnerable to a challenge.
Right.
She was in that
She
very
did.
establishment lane in a pretty progressive district. I mean, it
Very,
was just
yeah.
like the Joe Crowley situation, where it was like somebody very much out of step. But I mean, Chelsea
Absolutely.
Clinton is not the progressive dream.
she's
You're like,
not.
what?
Well, and what's interesting is that there is a progressive candidate. This
Yeah.
guy, I think, is Mondale Jones or Mondane Jones, Harvard, Stanford alum,
Yeah.
Obama Justice Department alum, super progressive, and so he was coming after her seat. And it's interesting. She didn't say anything until he suddenly announced. So I think she felt that she was going to be
The pressure.
vulnerable.
I mean,
Yeah.
look,
I would love
what
to see him
AOC
against
did in
Chelsea.
New York
Yeah.
will reverberate for several cycles.
Yeah, and it should.
The empowering of a younger generation to take on the establishment Democrats.
By the way, I
love
saw,
it.
I don't know if you guys saw this, that Crowley did a fundraiser for Joe Kennedy against Markey, which
Yeah,
is just.
of course he had to.
So Chelsea,
yeah.
I think it's great to float that out, but
It's not guaranteed.
I don't
Thumbs down
think it's
here.
guaranteed.
It wouldn't surprise me at all, though. Something
No,
they've
it
been
wouldn't.
looking at for a long time. All right, lady and gent, thank you.
Thank you,
Happy
guys.
Friday.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you both.
Next on Rising, a shocking investigation into Capital One despite piling debt on poor customers by Elena Botea. She will explain more.
And guess what, guys? Very, very, very excited about this. We're going to have live debate coverage on Tuesday next week. Join us at 7:30 p.m. for a preview of the big event. And then afterwards, post-debate analysis. We're going to have some special guests in the house. It's going to be fun. We're going to live stream all of that on our YouTube channel. So you know what that means. You gotta subscribe so you get notified
subscribe.
so you don't miss it. And by the way, also our first edition of our
Yeah,
newsletter
that's
comes
right.
out today, rising.substack.com. If you haven't already subscribed
Check it out.
there, you gotta do that too. Have a great weekend, guys. Always enjoy spending
See you
time
next
with you.
week.